All right, ladies and gentlemen, the weekend is just getting warmed up. If you thought things were brutal, if you thought that things were vicious during the U.S. England game, especially those last few minutes with that Harry Kane free kick, you just wait till our guest here, who's back with us, and he's back for a good reason because now he is the first ever two-time KOW Tag Team Champion, of course, of one half of our Tag Team Champions, the Underclass. We'll speak about how it all unfolded last week at the historic 10-year anniversary show. He'll also be a part of tomorrow night's huge 10-man elimination Survivor Series like tag team match over at the Kingdom of Wrestling. And of course, our guest last night, the Ronin Brian Adenson, spoke about it. Plus, you'll see him in some other companies like Paramount Wrestling and, of course, as always, Odyssey Pro Wrestling. So let's get right to it because we always know he's got very little time and he's got very little patience with us. So welcome, Fredo here on the Sports Report, number one, the Rebel Sports Show. Pro Wrestling Star here, one half of the reigning, defending, and the first ever two-time KOW Tag Team Champion. He is the unforgettable Andre Decker. Mr. Decker, congratulations.
Thank you. I've got a question for you. How many mics do you go through? God, you're loud.
The better point would be USB cables because I'm still on the same mic since the first time you came on back a year and a half ago. So USB cables would be the better term.
Fair enough. Well, yeah, looks like things are looking up for me, Tom.
I see.
What did I say from day one? What did I say? This is coming back home.
You know, I thought about that when we had Lucy on Monday, or even ALP when he was on a couple of weeks ago. And the fact, I remember the first time the unforgettable Andre Decker, I spoke with you about a year and a half ago. You had talked about the fact that you had demanded your title shot. You had felt that you should still be the KOW Tag Team Champion. And even though a pandemic had gotten in the way and some other different shenanigans of this past year that kind of maybe prevented it, but you called it. You called your own shot. I got to give you credit. I got to give you credit where credit is due, the unforgettable Andre Decker, in that you're holding the gold and you called it and it's all happened. And finally, and it couldn't, I think, have happened in a better show than last Saturday's historic 10-year anniversary show as you guys finally toppled your longtime nemesis, the Freak Show.
100%. And when we did it in front of the most people, you could all see. Now none of you can deny it. The underclass is first class. And I've said that from day one. It looks nice on me, though, doesn't it, Tom? Doesn't it? Looks good.
I can't deny it. Can't deny it.
You can't deny it. Absolutely. And no one else can. The Barrow fans can't. ALP can't. Sheriff Steele can't. And Will Carter and Nightmare. They certainly can't either.
Let me ask you a question because obviously we see that the underclass, it's a different underclass somewhat since we've last spoke to you. But now you're the one, the unforgettable Andre Decker, that's holding the gold right now because we know that Keenan had lost the showcase trophy last weekend to the Cumbrian outlaw Rick Marcus, somebody you know very well. And also we had the world title here, and we won't get into that and kind of how that all kind of developed and such. But it's now pretty much, I'm going to say it, the unforgettable Andre Decker, and you can answer it any way that you want, but I look at you now maybe as the leader of the underclass because you're the guy with the size. You're the guy with the strength. You're the guy with the sheer everything. I mean, I said it on Monday's show with Lucy. I mean, do you now see yourself as the leader of this new underclass?
Look, I'm not here to, and I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to put a wedge in between me and Keenan and Logan and trying to make us pick who's the leader. It's not about that. It's about success. And you know what? I lead by example by succeeding. And so does Keenan. He led by example by succeeding. The only reason he's not the champion now is because Rick Marcus pulled a fast one and KOW, just like he did with me in Odyssey, where he acts like he's stepping away. And then he do you think he can beat people if they have the time to prepare for him? As tough as Rick Marcus is, he knows his issue is he's easy to plan for.
You know,
100%.
it's
That's what he does. What Rick Marcus does, he said he goes away. He leaves. He hides. He sits in his little basement gym in the Midlands and works out, and then sneakily goes behind wrestlers' backs to get those bookings back. And just like a couple of months ago, I was stood in the ring expecting no one to be there because, as far as I was concerned, he was retired. Just like Keenan in KOW, a championship match, and that's how you know KOW's run by a bunch of absolute idiots who don't have a clue what they're doing. A championship match. The champion should have advantage because he's earned that because he's the champion. Keenan had to walk out there with no clue who he was going to wrestle. And then who comes in? Rick Marcus.
Well, I'll give you this. Listen, I'll tell you this. I'm actually going to slightly agree with you. And I'm going to tell you why I slightly agree with you. Because Friday we were on the air with RPD, and I won't get into RPD with you, but Rick Marcus pretty much said, I'm not going to be at the show. I hope everybody has a great show. So I would have inferred, to your point, that the Cumbrian Outlaw Rick Marcus was not going to be there, let alone be in a ring at Cloud9 in the lounge. So maybe you have a point there, and I see where you're coming from.
He sets himself as a role model. He talks about hard work. He talks about everything like that. And then he's lying. He's a role model who lies. You know what? People may not agree with the way I do things. People may not agree with the fact that I'm a tag team champion, and may not like the fact that I am the king of the Power Mountain and I have a championship match whenever I want. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to take advantage of those opportunities whenever I get them. You know what you see. What you see is what you get with me. You know what you're going to get. With Rick Marcus, he'll give it the old I am, and how much of a good dude he is, and how hardworking he is, and how he's not afraid to do it the hard way. What does he do? He leaves. He gets his title match. He sneaks in through the back door and gets his title match, and the champion doesn't know. Or he returns in a match which, after announcing his retirement, he returns on me when I didn't expect it. So you know what? I've had enough. Don't talk to me about Rick Marcus. Don't mention his name.
I wasn't going to mention his name. Listen,
again, I'm off. Okay.
I'll tell you what. I'm not going to mention his name, but I want to mention somebody else's name, and I want to get your thoughts on this because I had asked Lucy, because obviously she was there last week and she saw you in the ring, and that was obviously the referee in the match. That was the War Machine, Craig Collins, and I had asked Lucy, do we see a relationship between you guys and the War Machine, Craig Collins? Obviously, he was the former champion. You guys have a history with him, and certainly he had tried to get the title back in the past from a title he had lost, and I was curious about that.
Stirring the pot again. You and the queen of fake news in independent wrestling, Lucy Simons, making your own little narrative up. Look,
sure.
Craig Collins' business with Will Carter and Nightmare is their business. Craig Collins has known Nightmare a lot longer than me. Craig Collins has gone to war with Nightmare a lot longer than me. Craig Collins helped train Will Carter. He knows them. Their history, as much as our history has always been just as adversaries. They don't like us. We don't like them. Whatever the issue they have is nothing to do with us. So, and I hear fans talking about the victory being tainted because of the fact that Craig Collins did what he did as the referee. At the end of the day, before that, Nightmare struck Craig Collins right in the eye. True. Was it accidental? Was it not? You know what? Craig Collins is not known for his calm temperament. So what do you expect? And what was I going to do? Was I going to stand there and wait and watch? And no, as soon as I saw that Craig Collins did what he did, we jumped on it. We took advantage. Yes, we took advantage. But you know, that's what winners do. Winners take their chances.
So nothing between you and the War Machine, Craig Collins, then? Nothing there, then?
No. As much as I respect Craig Collins, I hate Craig Collins.
But you did always respect him. I always felt that with the War Machine, Craig Collins, it was never like when you basically just went off on Rick Marcus. We know the history there, right? Rick Marcus and RPD, we've seen in other companies. But I never felt that venom that you had with the War Machine, Craig Collins. That's all my point is.
Well, we've had a history as well. We've wrestled in KOW, we've wrestled in Alpha Omega Wrestling. We've had our issues, but have you seen Craig Collins? To be
I
honest,
have. Yes,
I'm
I
I'm
have.
I'm man enough to admit I stay out of Craig Collins' way.
I would actually do the same thing and some, but let me get to a comment from
I
somebody
would
that's
stay out of
been
anyone's
a
way.
fan
Look
of
at
yours.
you. Look at you.
I
Look at you.
I
You
certainly would.
comparing yourself to me.
No,
You
no, no, that I'm not. But
You're the guy who sits there with your microphone and asks the stupid questions. Okay.
I'm a stupid guy, so hey, listen, I'm used to that. But let me get to people that would like to speak with you. That's Anthony Finkel, and of course, Anthony says Decker won the belt, or did he buy a replica? No, he won the title. He won it fair and square this past weekend at KOW's historic
That's
10-year
right. Fair
anniversary show.
and square.
Fair and square. Listen, it was 1, 2, 3. He won the title. He also says Decker talking real spicy here. He says Decker must be on that juice again. I don't know about that. I've seen the
Well,
unforgettable
orange,
Andre Decker.
apple, cranberry helps you down there.
And then Anthony Finkel wants to really open up a keg of worms, which, by the way, I have nothing to do with because I don't know if Anthony Finkel really watched the World Cup game because it actually ended in a draw. He says, tell him I'm watching America kick England's ass again in football. It's football, by the way, for those of us around the world. They wouldn't stand a chance in real football, but in football that
Well,
just
if you
played.
actually watched in the real football, which is what the rest of the world call football, and not the game where you like hold it in your hands and then you're over breather every 2 minutes. Look, I've been to an NFL game. It's fun. It's all right. It's a bit long though, but Americans need to shut up about these sports that only they play. To be fair to them, I'll be fair. Americans are finally getting okay, not too bad at a sport that they can actually compete against the world in the world stage.
But they
So
still didn't win. They still didn't win. And Harry Kane, by the way,
no, that's the thing. In real football, a draw for the USA is a win.
Right, exactly. And listen, and I'm actually going to take your side on this because I happen to watch the game. We cover football on Sportswire Radio. I won't go too long on this, but Harry Kane basically was like this close away, literally about 2.5 minutes before the game was called, to have ending that game. And we would probably have a different outcome right now. And certainly the Americans did hang in there. No question that they did hang in, but we'll certainly see it. Anthony Finkel's really going down a keg of worms. So we're going to move slightly off that because we want to speak with the unforgettable Andre
let's
Decker.
not talk about this guy.
Let's talk. Yeah, let's talk some KOW before I go to the Kingdom of Wrestling tomorrow night because I do want to spend a few minutes on that because I realize time is certainly very short. But when you look at your year in KOW and going into 23, is this a springboard you think for the underclass to have an even bigger year than just took place in 22? Is that a fair question I can ask?
100%. We're coming back for all the gold. Now, we've won every single championship, just not at the
Yes.
same time.
Yes, I agree with that.
Every faith in Keenan, who rightfully should be getting a rematch. Now, Commissioner Steele, who, whether he's the commissioner anymore, he's shoving himself in matches. Whether it's ALP, who's the puppet master behind the.
Well, I'm going to ask Rick Marcus this question Wednesday night. By the way, I'll go just for you, just for you. I'll ask it to him. Don't you worry. I'll ask him that question.
I'm sure he'll on the spot. He'll say yeah, and then you know what? If the match is something else, he'll pretend not to have anything to do with it because you know what? That's what Rick Marcus is. Rick Marcus is that. Rick Marcus is that. All that.
Well, I'll ask it to him, and I'll put him right on the spot, and I'll do it just to be objective. I'll go right down the line. I said, the Cumbrian Outlaw Rick Marcus, are you going to give Keenan his rematch at the next show, March 11th? But I kind of feel the same way as you, the unforgettable Andre Decker, that this is a springboard for the underclass because even though at times you guys have held multiple belts, I feel like you guys are going to be more dangerous than ever because Keenan's going to be on the warpath. You're more angry. You're more deadly than ever. And I think Logan is the key here to why you guys got these titles back. And I really think spending a minute on Logan. Talk to me about Logan.
Logan, everyone who saw him as a referee, as an unknown. Logan's been training to wrestle for a very long time. Logan was actually trained by Nightmare. So who better to beat Nightmare than a guy who's than one of his trainees come good? 100%. Do you think Logan's not taking notes of the things Nightmare does, how he moves, what his reversals, the things he likes to do? Logan is definitely the key when it comes to the knowledge of how to beat the likes of Nightmare and Will Carter. I can do it myself, but Logan has stepped up to the plate. Logan is a force to be reckoned with. And you know what? Now you have a tag team championship. You have tag team champions that are real heavyweights. Two
Let
real heavyweights that no one can match.
I think that we've never seen that before in KOW, certainly when it comes to tag team champions or even just in a group as well. But let me ask you this last question on KOW for now before I go to tomorrow night. And I wanted to ask this to you. And what does it mean to you to be the first ever two-time KOW tag team champion?
Well, the longer I'm here, I could be 3 times. I could be tag team champions as many times as I want. This will be the last time because I'm not gonna lose them until I leave. I'm not losing these tag team championships. It's been too long until I have my fair shot. And look what happened. The second I got that fair shot, and it wasn't a tables match. I can't. The original rematch where I lost by falling.
Yep, I remember that. I remember it. We spoke about it here on Sportswire.
Slipped on the rope. I slipped on the rope, and then they call that a win. Logan tripped on the rope. Maybe Logan got slammed. I don't know, but I certainly slipped on the rope, and you call that a win? Exactly. Nightmare, Will Carter, I have your number.
Well, I'll tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. You certainly can't argue with anything that the unforgettable Andre Decker has had to say with us tonight because he is the rightful reigning, defending, first ever two-time KOW Tag Team Champion in the company's history. And of course, if you like what you hear from the unforgettable Andre Decker and don't want a beating from him, I suggest that you follow him on Instagram at Andre Decker Wrestler. Also, like his page on Facebook as well. Also, be sure to follow him on Twitter. You can follow him on Twitter at Real Decker. So please make sure you support and follow the unforgettable Andre Decker. And I am the host of the Sports Report and the owner of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce. And in a little while, about 20 or 25 minutes or so, we'll hear from Wildfire Nate Reese for a few minutes on his upcoming match in the LWF. So we'll try to get everybody in here. But, the unforgettable Andre Decker, I could talk KOW all day with you, but I really want to talk tomorrow night because you're in one of the more intriguing matches here that I think I've kind of seen throughout this year, not just in the UK, but maybe just in professional wrestling. You're in this 10-man elimination tag team match here with some of your tag team partners and some of the people you're going to be across the apron from are people that I'm really, really familiar with here on Sportswire Radio. And I want to talk about this because you're going to be in there tomorrow night with Logan once again, but also with somebody that was with us last night, and that is the Ronin Brian Nathanson. You'll also be with somebody I know very well in Chris Stone and also Steele himself, and you'll be across the ring from people I know very well like Davey Getsky and Jack Barron and Matt Fox, who we spoke about, and Lucas Neon. And I mean, talk about this match, and I kind of feel like it's one of the more intriguing matches I've gotten to speak with here on Sportswire Radio.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a hell of a fight in Southport, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to tagging with Logan again. We're as a team we are unstoppable, so that alone means we're gonna win. And you know what? I'm looking forward to shutting Matt Fox's face. Every time I'm in Southport, Matt Fox is just a thorn in my side. I beat him and Getsky in a triple threat match the last time we actually got in the ring together.
I was happy about that, by the way, because Davey Getsky I have no love for, so I have to say I was happy with it.
Who would have love for Davey Getsky? Look at the state. And then, Matt thinks he got one over on me because he eliminated me from the Rumble. Royal Battle. And that doesn't sit well with me at all. It just doesn't. It doesn't. And he's gonna have to get his. Jack Barron as well got a few shots in on me in the Rumble as well in the Royal Battle, and I'll be looking forward to getting back on that really. So, you know what? It's gonna be good, and I'm gonna enjoy taking out my frustrations. out on all of them.
That's going to be interesting. Very intriguing match. You're going to be in there with people that you know very well, and I think that you're going to see the Ronin Brian Adenson as well, who we had yesterday on the show. And I kind of think he might be a big wild card because what he can do in the ring, and we saw obviously he took down a mutual enemy that the both of you have in the Natural Born Fighter RP Davis and Chris Stone, and we have this whole dynamic that the Wrecking Crew is obviously Stone and Getsky, and yet they're going to be across the apron from each other. I mean, that's going to be a bizarre situation in itself. Very bizarre.
But can I trust Chris Stone? Can I trust Chris Stone?
Can you trust anybody but Logan in that match? That was what I would ask you.
Brian Adenson is a straight up fighter, and he's ready to, he's like an attack dog. So you know what, Brian Adenson, again, a guy. I mean, across the ring from him, I would beat him, obviously.
Right.
I'm stronger and better, but God, it would be a hard fight. And you know what? It's going to be good to have him on your side. Steel in Southport is a different Steel.
I know.
He goes over to Cumbria. As soon as he's in Barrow, he's a corrupt little thorn in my side. But Steel in Southport, again, I'm not sure because it's close to home where he lives. But you know what? He likes to throw pound. He likes to throw his weight about, and I like it. I like it. So you know what? It's gonna be an intriguing match, but really, there is only going to be one winner, and that's Team Steel, or what should really be called Team Decker.
I was going to say that, and I wasn't going to argue with you, but I have a few comments that I must get to, and some of them are really poking the bear here. That's my friend Daniel Slavin, who goes on about the World Cup, and again, we didn't win. The Americans didn't win. I mean, I think people are really setting the bars really low. But I want to go to the Natural Born Fighter RP Davis, last Friday's guest, who was in your spot, and he always has something to say to you. And he says, I can think of a team who would like a shot at them KOW Knockout Wrestling tag team titles. And he refers to, of course, to the Cumbrian outlaw Rick Marcus. RPD, always, listen, you and him, it seems like you can never get rid of him, I guess. You're just going to be till the end of time. I mean, as Jimi Hendrix famously sang, till the end of time. It's till the end of time you're going to be...
Yeah, well, RPD can backline, isn't it? That's what RPD can do. Get to the back of the line, become a contender, and then maybe, just maybe, we might throw you a bone and give you a shot. But you know what? I don't think you deserve it, mate. Honestly, you may be the man everywhere else, but in Barrow, you're not on my level. So,
well, the last few matches, I would have to say, yeah.
RPD, and I don't know. Go. It's late. Go spend some time with your family. Stop just commenting on my interview.
I was wondering
I'm literally. I see his name there. I'm just sick of the sight of it.
All right, so I'll take his name off the board, but I was wondering very quickly before I go to a few other companies you hear while we're with you for a few more minutes. I was wondering, like, where was the champagne? Where was the bottle? I was wondering I wanted to see a little bit more of a Victorious, the Unforgettable Andre Decker. I was thinking that you're going to be like, you know what? Well, I was just curious. I mean, that's all. I just was thinking you were going to be.
Well, you know what? I love a drink. I love having a good time. At the end of the day, I'm wrestling tomorrow.
That's true. And Brian Nanson talked about the fact that it was going to be a really vicious weekend. And he talked about the fact that match, he doesn't know what he's going to have left because he was in the ring like you were in KOW last weekend. His body feels a certain way. And I'm sure your body feels the same that he does. And he just hopes to be able to get himself to his car and go to the next destination. So we'll certainly find out for sure. And everybody, of course, please follow the Kingdom of Wrestling. That is the Kingdom_of_wrestling on Instagram. And also, I have here Mother Sue says, see you tomorrow in Southport, Mr. Decker. So Mother Sue will be there. So,
and you know what, Mother Sue? Bring your flapjacks and learn how to spell my name. How's about
that? Oh, and certainly
2 K's, no C. All right, Sue.
Well, Mother Sue,
Well,
you might have to get the spell check done there because the unforgettable Andre Decker, as your son has found out, is certainly not too much in the giving mood. We might be in the holidays here around the world, but the unforgettable Andre Decker is certainly not in the holiday spirit. But hey, who can blame him? He's a tag team champion. He had to wait as long as he did to be the first ever
it's not
to.
even December yet. It's not even December that yet. Holidays.
Well, we're 30 days away till Christmas. I mean, it's kind of in the holiday season. I mean, so it's. I mean, look, you might be right, but I'm just saying, objectively speaking, I'm not trying to take any sides from people. But the unforgettable Andre Decker, the natural born fighter RPD, says he's extremely good at beating Decker, though. Well, I mean,
Ah,
he's got his hands full tomorrow night though with the
he
Playboy
beats
Prince
me in
Van
one
Javert.
match. He beats me in one match, and now he
And
thinks that's it.
And Mother Sue
No,
did want to
that's better.
correct herself.
That's better,
Yeah.
Sue.
I happen to still like Mother Sue. And I want to make one more suggestion for Mother Sue because I asked this question with Brian Ainson. Are we going to, by any chance, get an unforgettable Andre Decker buddy at maybe the next KOW show, March 11th? Would you want your own buddy?
Well, it should have already happened, to be
That's what
honest.
Brian Anderson said. Brian Anderson said the same thing. So
We need to get on it.
well, all right. Well, fair enough. So certainly we'll find out here. But I know you're a busy man and such, and I wanted to ask you, Paramount Wrestling. We spoke the last time we had you on the air, and we spoke about the fact that you were going to have this briefcase, and I was kind of curious, just for a few minutes, your thoughts on that. And we have one more show I
So,
know coming up for Paramount.
so they've got a big blow off show in December, and you know what? It's I'm gonna be on the show. I'm gonna be featured. I'm not sure what I'm doing yet, but you know how it is in wrestling with a briefcase. I'm the king of the Paramount. I've got a championship match at any time, at any place. Now, the biggest feud in Paramount is between Isaac North and Charlie Brennan.
Mm-hmm.
Now they feuded. Isaac North kidnapped Charlie Brennan, somehow turned him on his side. Charlie Brennan has broke out of that and is now challenging for the Legacy Championship, which is the biggest championship in Paramount. Now they're going to have a war. And I have a briefcase. That means after that war, I could totally turn up. I can pick the bones of whoever's left in the middle of that ring. And I can win. And I can be a 2-time champion. Or their other championship, the Prestige Championship, who was on the St. Helens Love Machine himself, Buster Ellis.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be defending that as well. And again, the same thing can happen. And you know what? I have a history with Buster because
We spoke about it. Yep.
When I first came in, I wasn't up on my luck when I was wrestling in Liverpool over at Paramount, and they called a losing streak. I had a bit of bad luck. Whatever. But he's a guy who rubbed it in that he beat me, and the perfect vengeance is just taking that gold from his shoulder. After he's defended it, or even after he's lost it. So basically, I have guaranteed success in a briefcase that's just under my bed right now. So December, I'd tune in because you never know what I'm going to do. Or I might just chill. You never know. I could maybe leave it for another time, another place. But everyone in Paramount, if you've got gold, you should be looking over your back because one-on-one, most of you can't beat me. Imagine thinking after you've had a match. You don't stand a chance. So I'm a future champion at Paramount. I'm a current champion in KOW. And you know what? At Odyssey Pro Wrestling as well, I am entering the Overboard Rumble number 2 in February, and I'm going to win that as well.
Wow! Wait! Say that again here on Sportswire Radio.
I will. So I thought I'd give you a little exclusive there, Mr. Bryce. A little one. I am going to be entering the Overboard Rumble. I'm going to be winning the Overboard Rumble. And we're not going to have any shenanigans of Ethan. You know what, actually, come to think of it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to challenge Ethan Edwards to enter, like he did before, entering the Rumble, thinking he's part of the show. Instead of him trying to blindside me, how about I enter the Rumble, whatever number I am, I dare Ethan Edwards to come out straight after me.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the stakes have been raised on Sportswire Radio because not only is the unforgettable Andre Decker going to enter in Odyssey Pro Wrestling's Overboard Rumble, which you'll see take place here in a few short months in February of 23, but he's also asking Ethan Edwards to enter right afterwards and face off with the unforgettable Andre Decker. And with the state that the unforgettable Andre Decker is in right now, and seeing what he's done in KOW, seeing what he's done in Paramount, seeing what he's about to do in the Kingdom of Wrestling tomorrow night, if I'm Ethan Edwards, whatever I would do is probably not bother to show up. Probably head for the exits. Probably just say, you know what? I forfeit. Maybe I'm sorry. Maybe even give up your position in Odyssey Pro Wrestling. Maybe that's what I would do.
I think he's got a little bit too much pride. That's what it is. What he needs to do, he needs to think of the life outside of this. He needs to think of, his wife and kids that he abandons every time he comes up to Morecambe for days at a time. He needs to think about those and not be putting himself in these stupid situations where he can get himself in trouble. And he needs to leave.
Well,
so I'm wondering if he picks he actually thinks about this and makes the smart decision and leaves, or whether he actually steps in to the Rumble directly after me, and when I'm ready for him, rather than when he tried it before, he tried to blindside me and it didn't work, and I won. I've got a 100% winning streak with the Overboard Rumble right now, and I know there's only been one, but I'm gonna make it a 2-0, and I'm gonna do it whilst taking pleasure of beating Ethan. Or Ethan can stay home, he can leave, and then he can subscribe to the Patreon and watch it.
I think that would probably be the best idea, and especially for anybody else that wants to support Odyssey Pro Wrestling, to go to Odyssey Pro Wrestling on Instagram and Facebook, OPW_UK on Twitter as well. And please do that, especially if you're Ethan Edwards, because you are going to spare yourself, I think, a lot of pain, a lot of unwanted, necessary damage that's going to be inflicted on your behalf, because look at the unforgettable Andre Decker right now. Would you really want to stand face-to-face and toe-to-toe with this man? I wouldn't. I know if I was Ethan Edwards, I would just do yourself a favor. Just say, you know what, Odyssey Pro Wrestling, I'm sorry about everything I put the company through. You know what, Chris Brooker, if you want to just control the company, go ahead. Just you have it, and we'll let somebody else handle it. Because right now, if I'm Ethan Edwards, it might very well be time to go. And even the unforgettable Andre Decker, even though he won't admit it, is actually in the holiday spirit, because he's giving you that option. He's giving you the option tonight to say, if you don't want to show up in February, just subscribe to the Patreon page. Just follow all the Odyssey Pro Wrestling social media channels. Don't worry about it. Listen, go spend time with your family. Go do something else in your life. But Odyssey Pro Wrestling, it might be time to find something else, because I know Reese and Rogan, the unforgettable Andre Decker, they're not going to have any sympathy, certainly, to say the least, when it comes to Ethan Edwards. But, I know you're a busy man, Mr. Decker. I know you have a lot going on. You want to get ready for tomorrow's big match. So I want to give you the floor. I want to give you some closing thoughts. Anything you want to plug, anything else that you want to say to anybody else you're going to be across the apron from. And obviously, congratulations on winning these tag team titles and being the first ever two-time KOW tag team champion. So I turn it over to you, my friend, and the floor is yours.
Okay, all I'd have to say is make sure you make it to Southport Market tomorrow and watch me win. And again, anyone who wants to step in the ring with me for these tag team championships, I would think about it before you do, because it won't end well for you.
And it won't end well for you because, as I think the unforgettable Andre Decker correctly pointed out, he's going to be not only the first ever, but the only two-time KOW Tag Team Champion, because at the end of the day, he's not going to relinquish this title. This run he's going to have for years until he decides he can no longer be on this earth, which is going to be probably 70, 80 years from now. He's going to be the only two-time KOW Tag Team Champion. So we're certainly looking forward to all that stuff. Also, everybody, please follow the unforgettable Andre Decker, Real Decker on Twitter, Andre Decker Wrestler on Instagram as well, Facebook. Subscribe to his page. Also, you can see him tomorrow night at the Kingdom of Wrestling. And for more tickets and information on going and seeing the unforgettable Andre Decker, T_KOW. That's on Twitter, Instagram, the Kingdom _of_ Wrestling for more information. So please support that great company, support all the great things that they do. And Mr. Decker, I know you're a busy man, so congratulations, and we'll certainly speak with you soon, and hopefully we'll get you on here sooner than the last time we had you on, my friend. So thank you. All right. And that was the unforgettable Andre Decker, and we're here now back by popular demand, and certainly he's got a big match here to speak of here for a little while, and that is pro wrestling star here from the LWF, and that is Walter Nate Reese. My friend, how are you?
Hi, Tom. Good to be back. I know it's we can still be friends. It's all right. I know I've just seen that result there from that game.
That was the best result that could have happened because it was a tie. Last night on Sportzwire Radio, I was with Brian Ainson, and I basically declared on air, let's go England. England was going to win two goals. And Brian Ainson, of all people, was like, are you sure you want to say that? I'm like, yeah, at this point, almost everybody that listens to Sportswire is from England. So it was probably in the best interest of the company. But certainly, congratulations, no question, on England and America getting a tie. But let's congratulate you because you are going to be in the ring here coming up, because we have a match that was just announced on the LWF social media pages, and let's talk about it because it's going to be, I think, one of the bigger matches, and certainly you and the asset Stephen Cross have a lot, I think, to gain here with this match. So let's get your thoughts on it, as it was just announced not too long ago that we are going to see Shining Wizard versus Crossfire, and almost kind of a I would say kind of an eliminator match, and certainly Aton Steen and Clash. We're going to see tomorrow night in the Kingdom of Wrestling. So Wildfire Nate Reese, set the tables for us, and what can we expect here at the Fight Man Before Christmas?
So the Fight Man Before Christmas, December 17th, it is myself and the man who, it is Black Friday, so I'm looking for presents for Stephen Cross right now. To see
that might be hard, man. That might be hard to accomplish. You know that.
It's going to have to be the right thing, isn't it, to ensure that we set the right mood going into the Fight Man Before Christmas, because we've got a tag team encounter like any other. Last month, we came unglued in the Philadelphia-themed street fight, where there was 3 teams, 6 people, no tags. Very, very messy scenario in the sense that we couldn't fully gain our bearings at all times, which led to us being eliminated when Cross was pinned. However, this time it's myself, my best friend Stephen Cross, against Aton Steen in Clash. So now we've got a tag team match. They've not said number 1 contendership, but surely whoever wins that must be in the title picture afterwards, depending on what happens with Synergy in their match against the Worst. So I could be starting off, Tom, from the first of this year, the first show of the year, where I teamed with myself and Bob Costin.
Wait. You and Bob Costin. I mean, that's a name that we certainly almost kind of want to forget here, even though we had a birthday not too long ago. I mean, who is that again?
Exactly. It's like when you open the door on your advent calendar and there's no chocolate there. It's just a permanent haunting reminder. So, but again, think about what a difference a year makes from where I was back in January leading to now. The difference is I've now got a tag team partner I can truly rely on. Tag team partner that's dependable on me. If I fell backward and did a truffle, I know Stephen Cross could catch me. I know that he'd be more than glad to, and he'd be so happy. And if he was sharing any cultural traditions like you are right now, Tom, he would give so much thanks for being my tag team partner and my best friend as part of Crossfire.
Well, I don't know if necessarily the asset Stephen Cross may exactly do that, but I do know one thing. You guys are tag team partners, and that alliance has continued. So for what that's worth, maybe in his own way, the asset Stephen Cross is going to do that. But I wanted to ask you this question, because obviously we know that Eitan Steen and the asset Stephen Cross have been in the ring in the past together, so they have maybe some unfinished business going back from months ago. But you feel like in a lot of ways right now, maybe you're catching Shining Wizard at the right time, because we know that Eitan Steen came up short against Davey Getsky not too long ago for the LWF World Titles clash. We're going to see in the ring tomorrow night, actually, in the Kingdom of Wrestling. So they're going to be a little bit wounded, or maybe not be in the right frame of mind. So is it fair to ask Wildfire Nate Reese that maybe Crossfire is catching Shining Wizard at the right time?
I think we are catching them in the right time in the sense that we want to springboard ahead of them.
Okay.
You think of usually names within the LWF. Davey Getsky comes up as one. You talk about some of the younger wrestlers or some of the newer generation of stars who look like they're going to become champion. Eitan Steen's never very much far behind. So what me and Cross want to do is to springboard ourselves off the back of Eitan. Their near number one contender, their next big star, their next gen talent.
We've spoke about that here for the past year. Eitan Steen, I pretty much said he's almost like, I think I said this when I had him on here months ago, he's almost like the Jeff Hardy, I think, of the LWF.
Absolutely, and people are starting to see that. Places like TNT got to show a far, far different side of Eitan Steen there.
Right.
Very sort of far more sadistic. Maybe he wants to let loose a little bit more. Maybe you can see what happens there. But this is where me and Cross come in. He's burdened with clash. They've not really wrestled together as a tag team. They teamed together in that scramble of a match last month where the worst took advantage and squeaked the win out to get that number one contendership. Us two versus them two. No Isaiah Quinn, no the worst, nobody else interfering, no Big Ron.
No Big Ron, no Helena Razor, no anybody else. Nope, nobody. Just a straight up old fashioned wrestling match just days before jolly old Saint Nick delivers those presents. And I got a feeling that just maybe that Crossfire is going to get a present here just 8 days before Christmas, no?
Just like Cindy Lou Who tried and chipped away that small heart of the Grinch till it glowed just that little bit. I know that Stephen Cross will feel the same way when we pin Eitan Steen and Clash and become the next number one contenders to the Tag Team Championships, and we can rightfully get back to where we were. Because again, when we had the Tag Team title match, what did Synergy do? They brought somebody else in. They brought a ringer. They brought their third man in. We didn't get the chance to do it properly. And that's what we need. We also need to prove that we are the best team in the LWF. Make no mistake about it. Every single time that we have a moment, a flicker, a spark, that teamwork's there, that chemistry's there. It's always there for the world to see. We just need that chance just to prove that a little bit more. And you're right, there's no other factors, no external factors there, no weapons, no delays, no scrambles. Because that's when Eitan Steen thrives. He thrives within chaos. Clash likes to brawl with the rest of them. If we have the rules in place, straightforward, technical wrestling match in which me and Cross will definitely.
But don't tell us though. But don't tell us though how you're gonna win. Don't tell us the plot.
Oh.
Don't tell us. Listen. Don't tell us those, because you know that management's gonna listen. You know that Shining Wizard's gonna listen. You know that somebody in the locker room is gonna go back. But I will say here the one thing which I do feel like, again, why you guys are gonna have an advantage is to the fact that the asset Stephen Cross, he knows Eitan Steen. He's got a scouting report on him like no other. So he's going to do a phenomenal job in kind of making sure that his offense is going to be not what we've seen this past year. That's where I think the difference is going to be here, my friend. Regardless of your friendship, regardless of how it works, because of the fact Cross knows what Steen's going to do, he's going to make sure that that's going to be nullified because they've been in the ring with each other. That's the difference, my friend.
It's a very great point. Isolate and destroy. Ultimately, we can seek out, as you mentioned, what Aton Steen likes to do, those preferences, to take those risks, ascend above to the top rope and just take those chances a little bit more than most people would. And more often than not, it pays off for him. But if somebody was to take advantage of that, give him a friendly shove sometimes off the top rope, or push him into clash, who knows what could happen? Maybe when the referee's not looking, there could be a little swift chip away at the old ankle there for him. The more we make of those little moments, we can then go to work doing what we do best. Isolating body parts, grinding them down, slam after suplex after slam after suplex, wearing down these opponents every time. That's what we can do. That's where our teamwork is cohesive.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, we are certainly excited about that here. And the announcement here that was just broke a little while ago on the LWF social media pages was the fact that we are going to see a tag team match at the Fight Man before Christmas. And that'll be involving the team of Shining Wizard, that is Aton Steen, and that is Clash against our team here on Sportswire Radio. That is the team of Crossfire. That is our friend Wildfire Nate Reese, who's a part of our LWF Power Hour here most Fridays. And, of course, our old friend, the Asset Stephen Cross. And if you like what you hear from Wildfire Nate Reese, please give him a follow at Nate Reese Wrestling on Facebook and Instagram. Also, LWF on Twitter, the LWF Wrestling on Instagram. Also, please like the LWF's Facebook page and YouTube page. Also, we saw that we had a little bit of a mutiny kind of recap show on the YouTube page of the LWF. LWF Television is where you can see that. And I am the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryson. If you like what you hear from us anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, you can listen to all of our great content on sportnarium.com/player. And also, please continue to give us a like on Facebook at Sportswire Radio. We are here speaking with pro wrestling star here, Wildfire Nate Reese. Wildfire Nate Reese, I feel like in a lot of ways that this match has the potential in a lot of ways to decide who has the upper hand in getting a shot at those tag titles. So I'm not going to ask you outcomes. We're going to have you on one more time, and Nathan Gunn's back in the house next week. So we'll have you on at least one or two more times before the match coming up here on the 17th. But I do want to ask you, and then we've had some success and we've had some things that haven't gone in our way. So when we go back to the drawing board here, getting ready for 2 weeks from now, how much do we think about the past, or how much do we not think about the past here going into the 17th?
It's a really good question. Just like a lot of people do before New Year's Eve, we tend to look back and reflect on the good things, the bad things, create a really long, hardly altruistic, sort of obnoxious Facebook statement about it. If you think about this year, I've used a lot of different things to gain momentum over opponents. For better or for worse, it's always been about finding that external strategy. Whether it was halting Franco Vargas' biggest ever tour in its tracks, whether it was surprising Costin by going under the ring, cutting his hair, doing everything I could to try and stop him before the Lumberjack match, teaming up with Tonga. Oh, I hope she got the Christmas card I sent her. Every little bit that I could try to do, I've always found an external factor. So I'm going to have to look back. I don't think Bag of Tricks is right, because unlike, Santa coming down the chimney and having that miraculous metabolism to have so many mince pies and sherry night in, night out, all the way through all of Christmas, it's about going back to what works. What works is surprising our opponents. So one thing that LWF continually has always done is look down on me a little bit from their ivory tower. And just as they wipe their nose from the little bit of nosebleed they get from the vertigo, from where they are in their ivory tower, I'm always looking up. One more chance. One more obstacle. One more moment. And they have to accept it. And as much as they try standing like the Grand Emperors of Rome with the thumbs down, trying to eliminate me, it never quite works. Then you've got Stephen Cross. Cross, he's a little bit more of a direct type of guy, a little bit more, some would say a blunt instrument, but my guitar's never made that sound. But ultimately, when he comes in with a strategy, he knows what he wants. Work the back, lock in the crosshairs, tap them out. It's a strategy for him. That's his bread and butter. That's what he lives by. So if I can utilize my, why don't we say craftiness? Craftiness is a nice word. Alongside the sage wisdom and the sage technique of Cross with that strategy, that's what we need to do. So I need to use this past year to reflect, moving forward, to make sure that that's how we take out Shining Wizard.
Let me ask you this question when it comes to obviously how this match was designed when it came to management, the LWF Management Committee, and certainly Shining Wizard were the ones that requested this match. Does that concern you at all, that basically Shining Wizard went directly to management, and that, let's say if there's anything that unfair happens in the match, that management might say they want to tip the scales or anything else that's going on? I mean, does that concern you at all, that management basically was granting this match to Shining Wizard and this wasn't a match that was really agreed upon by both teams?
Somebody in the LWF asked for a match, and management just gave it to them, and it just happened.
And you guys this whole year with management have had significant issues. That's why I bring that up, the unjust treatment that the both of you have had. That's why I wanted to bring that question up and get your thoughts on it.
Oh, Thomas, just 1 second. I'm almost a loss for breath. That's never happened before in the LWF. Please. It's like there's a raffle or a tombola, isn't it?
I think
Every
it's
single
happened
time.
with you guys combined at least, 10, 11 times I count?
And what happens every time? We find a way to make it work.
To an extent.
To an extent.
To an extent. We can't say fully, but you are in this spot. But does that concern you or faze you guys at all?
It doesn't faze us in the sense that in some ways it might be because we stopped Shining Wizard from moving forwards in the match last month. But it's also, when you think of the other teams in the LWF, we're the one that everybody speaks about. We're the name that's on everybody's lips. It's always Crossfire, always Nate Reese, always Stephen Cross. They don't want to bring up anybody else. They don't want to discuss anybody else. It's always us two. We're the guys that everybody wants to fight. And lo and behold, what happens? We are there every single month. No matter how much you like to try and embarrass us or humiliate us or try and put us elsewhere, we are there every single month, sticking it to whoever management wants to try and manipulate in their favour. Whoever the little chorly, wretched vermin try and cheer, they're all getting coal for Christmas. I'm sure of that.
Boy, you know what? That makes two people tonight that are not in the holiday spirit. Certainly the unforgettable Andre Decker wasn't quite in the holiday spirit. Neither is pro wrestling star Wildfire Nate Reese, because we know his relationship with the people here in Shirley, and he's pretty much confirmed that here and some. But, I mean, do you feel like, though, with the last show of the year that Shining Wizard does want to make an example of you guys and you guys have a target on your backs?
Who doesn't want to make an example out of anybody on that show? It's the last show of the year.
And well, listen, Reynaldo Getsky rematch. I mean, Nathan Gunn's back next week, and you know he's going to be on the card, I'm sure. He's going to have a lot to say. So that's a fair point. I give you that. Because
anybody that wins on this last show of the year has momentum going into 2023, which ultimately, this has been the first annual calendar year that the LWF's had a full year worth of shows in a long time.
Last year we didn't have that, and certainly in 2020 we didn't. And I mean, basically we went through, I think, about almost like 2 years without shows in the LWF. So it was a long period.
This is it. And we've seen the LWF go from strength to strength, finding new venues such as the Bookshaw Community Village, where, let's face it, Santa couldn't really go because his sleigh would be disassembled or clamped if he did drop off presents. That's why they don't deserve to get them. But this is why, as we move forwards, now more than ever, the LWF is starting to make a much bigger, significant impact in the Northwest scene. we've got representatives like Getsky and Steen at TNT performing to a whole different audience.
And Getsky tomorrow night at the Kingdom of Wrestling. We're going to see him there also. Jack Barron's going to be in the house. We're going to see Chris Stone. I mean, we see the LWF talent all over the place. I saw Jack Barron against Bentley and GT Ministries. Joey Hayes is at Wrestle Island. We've seen him in the LWF. I mean, the LWF talent really is all over the place.
Same as at Odyssey, KOW, Wrestle Island.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of shared transferable talent that's moving around, and LWF uses that as its central hub, as its home base. Think about the promotion that the company's had. Think about even the presentation, which is everything in this day and age. Look at the graphics, the imagery used, the themes used. LWF is moving up.
Our mutiny shows, look at the Academy, look at the talent that we see. I mean, certainly the LWF has, to me, always been at the forefront when it comes to evolving and always progression and the different talent that we have here. So to me, there's no question that the LWF is always a step ahead. There's always at the top when it comes to wrestling and everything else that's involved here in the UK. So there's no question that I got a very good feeling that you guys are going to find a way here, and we'll talk much more about that, I think, here in the coming weeks here. And certainly also want to make the announcement that we will have on the Scenario Nathan Gunn next week, because this week he was going to be with us, but he was busy out there watching the U.S. and England game, and he just got caught up with everything. And listen, I mean, I was caught up in it also, so I enjoyed watching it. I was happy it was a tie because I didn't want to have to go on the air, and England would have kicked America's butts, and I would have had to have gone out there and had to have basically, gone out and had to have traded my country to come to your country, and then that would have been a whole nother peg of worms. So a tie was best for everybody, but thankfully we had on here Wildfire Nate Reese. So, I'm going to give you the floor here, Wildfire Nate Reese. I want to give you any closing thoughts, anything else you want to plug here. Obviously, I'm excited about next week because our Power Arrow duo is going to be back with us here once again in Nathan Gunn. So I'm happy, and one of these days, hopefully we get on Mr. Cross on the video. But until then, the floor is yours, my friend, and fire away.
Thanks, Tom. Good to be back. Of course, if anybody wants to follow me, find me, Wildfire Nate Reese, on Instagram at Nate_Reese_wrestling. Have a look on Facebook at Wildfire Nate Reese as well. Feel free to send me a message. Survivor Series is this weekend as well. One of my favourite pay-per-view events. Possibly my favourite, actually. I know it's not a popular opinion in a lot of ways. Let me know what your favourite Survivor Series matches are, your thoughts there. Let me know if there's any tricks I could borrow to help go against Shining Wizard. There's a lot of tag team matches, there's war games, there's all sorts of things going on. My favorite. Let me know what your favorite Survivor Series match is. Mine's got to be Team Austin versus Team Bischoff from 2003. Hell of a great tag team gauntlet match.
I like Triple H's team against. It was Triple H's team. It was Triple H, Jeff Hardy. I think it was Rey Mysterio, and they were going up against. It was Umaga's team, pretty much. I have to say, I just watched that on the WWE Network, and that was a great match. I think MVP was in the match on Umaga's team. It was Fit Finlay was on there, which I thought was so intriguing. Fit Finlay and Triple H, it kind of squared off. So I have to say that might have been one of my more favorite matches of recent memory because we saw people in the ring that we would have never really got a chance to see. Mr. Kennedy also was a part of that. So I thought that was a really cool match as well. I think before that, there was a Degeneration X team. I think CM Punk was actually on a team with Shawn Michaels and Triple H, which now you would have flashed back 15 years later, been like, what? And yet that would have been another good one. And also on Umaga's team, we had Big Daddy V with Matt Stryker of ECW.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So that was a really good one. So that was one of my more enjoyable ones. So yeah, maybe we'll talk about that next week on the show. We'll spend a few minutes on Survivor Series and War Games. And certainly I know one thing, I'm going to be spending a lot of time these next couple of weeks on the LWF's Fightmare Before Christmas, because Wildfire Nate Reese is going to be a part of a huge match. We're going to see Shining Wizard versus Crossfire. Tag team titles match, the worst for Synergy. I like to think this is going to be the winner of this match here with Crossfire and Shining Wizard are going to cross up with whoever is going to win that match between the worst and Synergy. Also going to see here Lana Austin versus KT Hawkins for the LWF Women's
Time coming.
Championship. That's going to be a match a lot of people are going to want to see. It's been something long time coming. We're going to see, of course, the guiding light, Isaiah Quinn and KT Hawkins' corner. Of course, the rematch, Getsky versus Reynaldo. will Reynaldo finally get one over on Davey Getzky? I don't know. I'm sure there'll be more matches ahead to announce, but I know one thing. Please follow Wildfire Nate Reese at Nate Reese Wrestling. That's on Facebook. You can also catch him on Instagram as well. That's at Nate_Reese_Wrestling on Instagram. So please like and follow his pages. The LWF Wrestling also on Instagram and also Facebook, Twitter, the LWF Dog. Thank you, everybody. I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce. We were just here with pro wrestling star Wildfire Nate Reese.